what they're typically doing is they are gaming the system as it exists right now, in that the Social Security Administration does not communicate directly with the credit bureaus. So the credit bureaus have no ability to run that Social Security number to see if it's a legitimate Social Security number. So what in essence they're doing is they will apply for a auto loan under a fake Social Security number, or CPN, which in essence is just a 9-digit number that they have done their research to ensure that it isn't an actual Social Security number listed already with the credit bureaus. Once they've applied for that auto loan, they will get denied. But what in essence it does is it creates a credit profile with whatever credit bureau that they ran that the auto financer ran them against. At that point, there's an entire procedure for them to go through and do what they call tri-merging, which in essence is opting into solicitations. And at that time, the credit bureaus will share that information, and it will create a credit profile with that given name and that given what looks like a Social Security number, or what the person who created it would call a CPN with that name. And often they will use their real name, or they will use the name of somebody that they pick up off the street to perform this crime with. And once they've done that, they have a credit profile and they have the IDs to go with it, but at that time they have no credit rating. So now they go through a process of securing primary cards. Either on the primary lines they use will be typically secured credit cards, or there's a few other avenues they have that there are some lenders out there that they know they can go to get lending for minimal amounts, just to create those primary lines. Once they have those primary lines, they then use what's called authorized user lines, and that's just a way that they can go on and actually purchase a trade line. So the way they purchase a trade line, and they're all over the internet, these people that both do it willingly, that have good credit, will go on and offer to add someone as an authorized user to their trade line, and in essence giving their good credit or that good trade line to the person who's paying them to rent it. And part of the problem that creates is that for the person who's renting out their trade line, if that person they've now rented it to ends up busting out, there's no backflow onto that person who rented out their trade line. So in essence what they're doing is they're getting all the benefit of that trade line and they're paying for it, but none of the negativity will then move on to that person who rented out their trade line. So once they get these trade lines established on their account, the credit bureaus will read it as they have access to that trade line, even though in fact they don't really have access to it other than on paper. And what it will do is it will increase their available balance, which influences their credit rating, and it will also show the relationship and their time period on the relationship, which is all ways they use to game the credit system in order to make it appear as though they have a very high credit rating. It appears as though a merchant who contracts with one of the credit bureaus to report on their clients has the ability to backdate that client relationship. So in essence, if I have a number of clients and I have a history of a number of years, at the time I sign up to work with one of those credit reporting agencies, I now have the option to give them all my data to backdate the credit history of my clients. So what we're seeing, and I've seen advertising for this, and I've heard it through people and during investigations, is that there are people creating these companies and they're fictitiously reporting or back reporting client relationships to make it appear as though they have a deeper credit history than what in essence they have. And in one case in particular, I was able to see a credit report on somebody who had committed fraud, and they showed a credit history which existed prior to the time the Social Security number or the CPN was ever even first issued. and it was it was either an actual Social Security number issued after 2011 when they changed the numbering convention, or it was a CPN completely, but it showed a credit history back to 2000, and there's no explanation for how a number that is that fresh could show a since date going back to 2000 unless there's some way for them to backdate those credit profiles.